Do you want to know what I feel is missing in my wardrobe? Well, a good set of armor. It's making this noisy. So today I am going to get started on alleviating that issue, filling in that gap of my wardrobe. Yes, I have a lot of fantasy wear. I make a lot of fantasy things. I really enjoy dressing as though it is the medieval or Renaissance times. Very glad it is not, though. I want to mention that. But because I do not have a good thing of armor, I feel like my fantasy section in my wardrobe is not complete. So here is what I am going to be doing today. I have my mannequin already covered in plastic wrap, cling wrap, whatever it is that you want to call it. She is all wrapped up and ready to be drawn on. Now I have spent most definitely the last 48 hours just really diving into finding what armor really actually looks like. But this is something that I've been thinking about for quite some time. I don't have a time frame. And I was thinking, armor, right? But wearable, casual armor, I think. Now, if you've been here a while, you know that I love dresses. The majority of the things that I make are dresses or skirts or something flowy. Now, in my deep dive of finding armor and armor-like clothing, I have found that people use Worbla, EVA foam, a wide variety of different materials to make like the overlayer of the armor. I do have some Worbla, so I am going to be doing that. But first, before I make the outer layer of the armor, I'm thinking the arm pads, the neck brace, probably the chest plate. I need an under layer for that. And of course, we're going to go with a flowy dress. Flowy dress with flowy sleeves. This is all completely dependent on how much fabric it is that I actually have. A few days ago, I stopped by a Goodwill when we were out of town, and I found some linens that I have been searching for quite some time. And that would be silver or metallic looking fabrics. Both of these are curtains. This one is a blackout curtain, so it's thick. It feels like wool. There's no tag. It's probably polyester. These are most definitely polyester. Now I thought that this could really resemble a chainmail. So I don't even know what I'm doing yet, but I'm thinking that maybe this could be the underlayer, it looks like chainmail to me. If we were trying to replicate chainmail out of fabric, this is what we're going with. It's one panel. It's quite a lot. Estimate 6 yards. I want to estimate 6 yards. It's about the size of a twin size blanket. It's quite a lot. And like I said, it is a blackout curtain, so it has this backing fabric that I will be able to use as a liner. No fabric gone to waste here. And then here I have 2 panels of this one. This is a shiny metallic fabric. Now this I would estimate is probably around 80 inches long, or maybe even longer. It's one of the really, really long panels. I dig this. Now I feel like this really, really looks like it would be the armor. It's shiny. Like I said, I don't know how I'm going to use these things, but I am going to figure it out. I will be using both of these fabrics. The chainmail looking one, the shiny metallic one. I feel like this is a project that is going to take me quite some time. I'm going to give myself 2 weeks. I'm hoping that I can finish it well before then, but I've only ever worked with Worbla one time. It was to make my son's Iron Man costume for Halloween. I worked on it for, I kid you not, like 16 hours in one day, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't like it. That was a few years ago. I have not worked with Worbla since, but I have gotten a lot of sewing under my belt. Is that the same? No. But I'm going to try again. I mean, I'm not trying to do a full thing of armor. It's just a couple of pieces that I'm looking to do Worbla out of. So I should be able to do it. I don't see any issues, you know. All right, fabrics have been seen. You know what I'm doing. You've got an idea of kind of what I have an idea kind of. It is now time to almost draw on the mannequin. I need to draw out a sketch first of what I'm planning to do. You know, I thought, because I'm such a visual person, I thought I'll just draw on the thing, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll just rewrap it and then try again. And I think actually that's probably going to be the best thing, because I cannot get my thoughts down on paper. You know what? Who needs a sketch? Let's go ahead and get to drawing on the dress form. So I draw onto the dress form, cut the plastic wrap off, and cut the pieces out. After that, I trace the pattern pieces onto my brown paper with seam allowance and cut them out. Once the pieces are all cut out, I begin making a mock-up. Excuse the background mess I've been making, I haven't been cleaning. Does this look like armor? No. And then for the back, now the thing about the dress form and my body is this fits me better than it does the dress form. There's only so much of foam I can shave off before it becomes not human shaped anymore. So there's a big gap back here. On me, it is exactly this size, so this is not correct. What I will need to do is add probably an inch, maybe even 2 inches to account for the zipper that needs to go in here. You know what, I hate zippers. For the corset closer, you know what, actually, if I want to do a corset, that probably is a really good size. I don't know why, but I feel like this took a lot of brain power just to get this mock-up done. It's a lot of little pieces sewn together. So I'm not convinced if I like this. I feel like my brain has had about all it can take with this for right now, so I'm going to call a halt and probably pick up on this tomorrow or later. It is the next day. Turns out I stayed up all night obsessing over my design because I just didn't feel like it was right. I did like the shape of it. I'm really thinking though it was the pink of the mock-up that made me not like it. So instead of obsessing over this any longer, I figured what the heck, I'm going to just go ahead, put the pattern pieces on my fashion fabric and just cut it out. Make it a little bit bigger. We're going to see what happens at that point. I now have all of my pieces cut out and ready to sew together, but then I got to thinking, not sure if I actually do like it. So I wanted to make another mock-up of a different corset, one that I could perhaps put the layerings over, so like a base layer. And whenever I pulled the backing off of my curtain fabric, because it's a double-sided blackout curtain, I saw that it was silver. And I really liked it. So I figured, what the heck, I'm going to just make a bustier corset, and if I don't like it, then I don't like it, and it won't be used for this project, but I'll have a silver corset that I can either weather or make it look like something else. It can go both for the medieval section, genre, as well as futuristic. So I'm going to go ahead and sew all of the pieces together for that corset. I drafted the pattern for this corset based on the corset I used to make my casual fantasy outfit from a previous video. I transferred the pattern pieces onto my brown paper, making it 4 inches longer than the original. Then I cut my pattern pieces out of the fabric. Once everything is cut out, I pin all the pieces together and sew right sides together with a straight stitch. Once sewn, I press the seams flat and seal the edges with fire as this fabric frays like crazy. Then I move on to sewing the cups. Pressing those seams flat using a stuffed animal, then attach the lining and outer cup fabric together. This is what it looks like when sewn. Now I pin and sew the lining and outer fabrics for the corset together on top and bottom. Clip curves and the corners and turn right sides out. Finally, I sew the cups onto the corset. And here is the mostly finished, I want to keep calling it a mock-up, but I guess this is the final corset. As a whole, it's not bad. Like I said, it really could go for a futuristic design if I was doing the futuristic silver. But if I were to weather this, I think it would look really nice also as a armor type piece. So I've not exactly made up my mind on what I'm doing with this, but I have figured out now that I'm going to have 3 or 4 options to choose from because I just could not make up my stinking mind. So the final reveal should be pretty fun as far as putting together different outfits. So now that I have that out of the way, we can see behind me, I have been working on yet another corset. I guess we can call this a bodice. I'm not going to be lining this one, but I will show you briefly what I did, what I'm thinking before I get to sewing the main fashion fabric, the original design of what was supposed to be a dress, but it's unfortunate that I do not have enough fabric for that. So I'm just having to pivot a little bit. So this is what I came up with for the chainmail looking fabric. This is going to act as the lining. I did have to do quite a bit of patterning to figure this out, but I figured it out. This one is going to be an off the shoulder, and it again is unfortunate. I'm not going to be able to make a dress out of the chainmail looking fabric, which is what I really wanted to do. I only have enough for a top because the sleeves are so big. Now, if I did not make any sleeves, I may have been able to make a kind of short dress, but that wasn't what I was going for anyway. I want a long one. So we're just going to have a chainmail looking medieval inspired top. This is basically what the chainmail one's going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew all my pieces together. I'm going to put them together. I'm going to figure it out. My indecisiveness has caught me out. So first I'm going to go ahead and get started on sewing together all of my pieces for my original design. I have both the outer and inner layer fabrics cut out. I'm unsure if I'm going to do boning. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Then I'm going to move on to my chainmail looking inspired top. So yeah, let's get started. I start with my original patterning design, adding 1.5 inches to each piece, not cutting on the fold. Then I lay out all the pieces and pin them together. Then I sew everything in place with a straight stitch. I am almost done with this piece. This is the outer layer. I also have the lining or inner layer fabric cut out already. It all lines up. The only thing that I'm trying to figure out is I just trimmed this off, I don't know, the chest piece to make sure that it would fit. Now that it does fit, all that I need to do is sew it on. And I am still trying to figure out on if I'm going to do boning or not. I feel like possibly the structure of adding the boning is really going to help with this. However, if I were to add the boning to this main layer, I feel like it'll just mess with the overall look of it. So perhaps I add it to the lining layer. I really don't know. I'm still figuring that part out, but this is almost done. All I have to do is figure out the boning, put the line on it, in it, and then figure out the back closure, which I think that I'm going to do a corset style with grommets and lacing. Here's the back. All I really need to do is just straighten these lines up and then close it up. I decided to add boning, so I sewed channels into the seams of the outer fabric. Then insert the bones. And finally, I attach the lining to the outer fabric and try it on. Moving on to the chainmail looking fabric. I ripped the layers of the curtain apart and cut off the top. I then lay out the fabric, put my pattern pieces on it, and cut them out. Then I repeat the steps with the lining fabric. I pin the pieces together and sew them in place with a straight stitch. Once sewn, I pin and sew the outer and liner fabrics together. Clip the curves, then turn right sides out. For the sleeves, I sew the lining and outer fabric together on the top and bottom, right sides facing. Turn right side out, then attach them to the bodice. What I'm making now is a mix between a gorget and pauldrons. It's like a shawl. I don't know if it has an actual name. It is a match to the chrome corset. Once that's done, I begin making a short mail skirt for the chainmail inspired top. Pin and sew the outer and lining fabrics together. Then I pleat the mail skirt inside of the waistband. I add a large button and sew a buttonhole. Once sewn, I use my seam ripper, scissors, and fire to seal the buttonhole. Alright, my corset armor is mostly done. All that I need to do now is add a closure for the front and add a bunch of grommets for the back. I started with 2 curtain panels. I have one full one left, and this is what is left of the first one. So now what I'm going to do is, yes, I like the style of how this is turning out, but I would like to have a skirt layer with it. Now I am unsure on if I should attach it. I think probably not. I think likely what I'm going to do is make it a underskirt all on its own. So it'll go underneath, and I don't know, we'll figure it out. For the armor skirt, I cut off the waistband, sew the skirt panels together, then pleat the skirt inside of the waistband and sew. And to finish everything off, we are finally adding the grommets to both corsets and the blouse. And with all that done, it is time for the final reveal. Well, there we have it. I am done. It took 5 days. My indecisiveness on this project led me to make 3 corsets. I guess you can call this one a top or a shirt, I don't know. I could not settle on a pattern. I did handcraft every single one of the corsets that I made, or tops. Again, I don't know. They're grommet. They're closed up with grommets, so therefore I'm calling them corsets. This one on top here, this one's my most favorite. I really like how the design turned out. With the boning in it, it does kind of resemble armor, which was the total goal for this project. I do believe that, I mean, look at the sleeves. Aren't these the coolest sleeves? Yeah, they are. That's the correct answer. It does sort of resemble chainmail. So I feel like I did get my point across with what I was trying to do. I have the chainmail, I have the armor, I have the chainmail skirt, or I don't actually know what this is called. And then I have my armor skirt. Now I did want to make a dress. I did not have all of the fabric that I needed to make a dress. Also, again, my indecisiveness, I had no idea what I wanted to actually do. As far as the lining for, I don't know, it's medieval top, I don't know what to call things. Probably would have been better had I had gray that would match this, just to line it better, but it's fine. I could not get into this by myself. I had to have my husband lace me up. And I'm going to have him help me get out of it as well. Overall, I am extremely happy with the project. Now, as far as this silver bustier corset goes, I don't feel like it fit the overall vibe on what it is that I was trying to do. It's too shiny to be armor. It looks like it would be futuristic. I think what I need to do is to go through and do some weathering in it. I think with proper weathering technique added to this, I think that it would be much better. This is my most favorite. The only thing I think that I am missing is elf ears and possibly a crown. Now, another thing that I wanted to add to my overall armor-inspired look would be, or was, armor made of warbler. The heck was that? Now, I do have the warbler, and I do have the idea of what it is I want to do. But I am going to save that for the next video, as this video is already long enough. I also want to see if I can't try to make a scabbard holder or harness for my katana swords so that I can have them on my belt. I'm not wearing a belt right now, obviously, but to have it harnessed or holstered on a belt, I think would be pretty cool. Now, I do not have any straight swords. I have my katana set here. I have my regular sized katana, mid-sized, and a dagger. And you know what? This might not be a dagger. So to be able to have these holstered on a belt, again, would be really cool. I had so much fun making this. It is very likely, and I am just weird enough to do it, I am going to be wearing this top as a top. I am unsure if I'm going to be leaving the house in my armored corset here. I very well may. It's not a costume, but I could see how you'd think that.
That outfit.
Well, that is all that I have for today's video. It would seem that the medieval revival is well on its way to trend this year. I am not one to follow trends. It just so happens that the things that I love and enjoy, they're just coming back around. The last medieval revival was from the 1960s to 1970s. And oh, how history loves to repeat itself. So we are back in the cycle. Which means when I leave the house dressed like a peasant wench or a witch or a warrior or even an elf, whatever I decide to leave the house in, it's not weird because it's cool now. Although I do want to point out I was doing this before it was cool and I was considered the weirdo. Well, that is all that I have for today's video. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me over the last few days while I made this outfit. I am very happy to revive the medieval fashions. I really need some elf ears. God, this outfit is awesome. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below, whatever it is that you want to say. The comments and the likes really help the YouTube's algorithm push my videos out further. And as a very small content creator, that is something that I need, is for more people to see my videos. Also, if you're not already, consider subscribing. I do my best to post at least once a week. And I'll see you next time. Bye.